What is going on, comic fam? It is 8:31. That means we can officially start. In case you aren't aware, this week Mark has been at Heroes Con, so he's coming back from Heroes Con. We safe travels to him and everybody who went to Heroes Con. So don't adjust your YouTubes. You're at the right place at the right time. This is at week's end. We got a special co-host this week as well. We'll get to that right after this. So, hey, it's Brother John. What's going on, Brother John?
What's going on, Paul? Happy
Not,
Father's Day to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As my comic book dad.
That's right. It's like because I am willing all of my comic books to Brother John. Slowly but surely.
Yeah. You're giving me your stuff, just like my real dad did.
Exactly. Before we get started, though, something that we want to make sure that you're aware of, don't forget our sponsor for the channel. We want to thank them, Big Time Collectibles. They are at bigtimecollectibles.com. Nelson does some wonderful things. Outshines the online comic retailers. He also, if you were following Comics Curing Cancer, he just donated the partial of the Sonic number 69, the black and white Miko Suyon cover that was sold at Heroes Con this weekend. So you probably will hear us say the word Heroes Con a lot this weekend. So besides that, don't forget we also have Justin Comics. If you need anything cleaned or pressed, make sure you get to Justin Comic. If you use code We Are Legion, you can get a deal there. And don't forget also, we also have ABX, Comics and Games. It is Mark's comic shop, but it really is the way I look at it. I call ABX, I call them the comic community's comic shop, because they do tremendous work. Paul is just a heck of a guy. So if you're ever in the Augusta area, make sure you stop by ABX. And if you ever need anything, just reach out to him. I'm sure he can help you. So let's go back to the chat and see who we have here. We have Las Cruces, who started at 11:13 this morning. 11:13, and then 6 o'clock, and then 7:49, and then 8:09. Hello from New Mexico. We appreciate you. Carlito, thank you for joining us. Joseph Michael, thank you for joining us as well. It's time for more Mark going F Disney. Yep, it's weekends again. He may be doing it. We may not hear him directly doing it. If he gets a chance to catch any of this while he's driving back, or if he's back, maybe you'll hear him. But we will definitely talk about what Mark would have talked about in just a second. So. Comic Cap Collectibles. Hello, all. Taylor Winder. I'm at the wrong place at the wrong time. No, you're not. This is not Guess That Key. This is at week's end. So you're all in the right place. Fail Ailing. Hello, all. We appreciate you. Space Case. Exactly. Do not adjust your channel. Your interwebs are fine. Or just fine. Comic Vet. What up, fam? Another person who traveled from. He is home safe now. Good. I was just going to say he went to Heroes Con as well. So
and if you didn't get to go to Heroes Con, check out Chris's channel with those lives he was doing, or those vlogs he was doing every day. It makes you feel like you're there. It was fantastic. So good work, Vet. I'm glad you're home safe, brother.
Exactly. Taylor Winder, saying hello. Stephen C. Good evening, Legionnaires. We appreciate you. Oh, look who joined. Hello there. It is definitely Mark, because he wasn't able to spell my name correctly using his phone. So he is here in spirit and in the chat, ready to defend himself for anything that we may say about Star Wars in just a few moments. Okay. Comic Verse. Good evening, everyone. We appreciate you. Comic Collectibles. Brother John, thank you very much for the Prison Variant sign book. It means a lot, my friend. Oh, that's nice. So, Brother John, we were just lamenting the fact that Brother John has been slowly trying to stalk James Robinson, and apparently he ended up at Heroes Con. So we were talking about that.
Yeah, little sad there that I missed him. But
yes, exactly. Although you really shouldn't put in Instagram that you're stalking somebody, because it's now Exhibit A.
Well, that's why I just put it in the chat.
Oh, was it in the chat? Okay.
I didn't put it out on a public post or anything.
Guess Mark's too busy with the in crowd to be here. No, he's on his way back. He's on his back. Paul from ABX. Hello, hello, hello. Volunteer collector, and again, Mark. So, okay.
Nice.
Again, before we go any further, also make sure don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, to become a member because at sometime next month, at the end of next month, for June and July, Mark has packed together and going to have one big giveaway, and it's going to include New Mutants number 98 in honor of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie that's coming out. So if you're not a member, I believe you have to remember both for June and July. So he
So
can
that'll be like a 2 month Legion movie
exactly, it's
jammed
exactly
together.
type of a thing.
Awesome.
Exactly,
That's going to
uh,
be fantastic.
exactly. Um, First Sunday of June. I think he means July because we've already passed the first Sunday of June, unless
Yeah.
he's going to retroactively somehow.
Or
So
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I didn't win it, so it could have been
exactly.
it could have been in June. I'm not going to win it, but
So the first Sunday of July, which would be 4 or 5 July 7th, I believe. It'll be the first Sunday, and and that's right, and the original Deadpool art too. So it's all Deadpool, all July for Mark. So don't forget if you're not a channel member, make sure you become a channel member. You also get different. You get little perks. You get to be in a chat. He does these Legion loots every month, except when he puts them all together. And does these things. So yeah, it's the May June combo prize. So and he also you get little badges that you can get for how long you've been a member. You get the access to certain emojis. So um, Taylor Window calls dibs on the combo platter. All right. All right. So where should we start? I know where we should start. Let's start with Mark took the time to put um, the Acolyte in the thumbnail for today.
right in the thumbnail.
So
Oh, can I
let's.
can I say something else
Oh,
before we start? Sorry.
absolutely.
I know we all saw earlier in the week about comic story and Benny Potter passing away,
Hmm.
and there's a lot been said on that. I just want to say that when my brother sucked me into this community during the pandemic, there was a lot of channels that were based on selling and speculation, and then everything else seemed to be kind of these negative outrage channels. But Benny and his channel were always just 100% joy and love of comics. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and his team. If you haven't watched him, or even if you have watched his channel before, go back and watch all of his stuff again. Just set the playlist and just let
Yep.
it run, even if you're not around, because let those ads go through, because that way his family and his team, can still get ad revenue. And they're going to need it. And he was just such a fantastic, just kind of ambassador for comics and all of what we do. So just want to say that real quick before we jump into everything else.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to say, if you haven't, I mean, over the course of the next few days, I'm sure between DJ and Rob and Mark, there'll be lots of, people saying, thank you for everything that you did for Comics Curing Cancer during HeroesCon. Um, if you've watched any of the videos that have come over the last 3 days, you know that it was a huge success. Definitely thanks to everyone who went there or bought anything or donated anything or whatever it was, or just sent good vibes to Comics Curing Cancer down there. And also, there are also lots of other videos too that you can see about people that went to HeroesCon. I would particularly point you towards DJ Lynx's video. It's right now. It is actually just for members, but I'm sure it'll go live before too long. But he picked up a comic while he was down there as well. So take a look at that if you get a chance. So
Yeah, he and Rob both went big.
yeah, exactly. What's up? Looking forward to hearing Nerd Talk. Hey, it's Ghostly
There
Relaxing.
we
What's
go.
up, Sean?
The nerds are here.
Yeah, K-pop. What's up? Okay, so let
Yes.
us talk. Let us talk about the Acolyte. This was episode 3
Hmm.
of the Acolyte. Um, there has been a lot of talk about the Acolyte and what happened in this particular episode. It is basically, and correct me, John, if I say anything wrong, because I'm you. There's a reason why Mark does most of the recaps of the comic books when we do
The deep dive.
the deep dive, because he's much better than I am at recapping things. But it is basically it is a flashback episode.
Yep.
It goes back to what happened on that fateful day that we know that Tobin says in episode 2, where he says we thought we were doing the right thing. So what we see is we see Maze and Osha's where they come from. They basically are part of this, for lack of a better term, a coven, I guess, a coven of Force users. Um, what is happening is the Jedi are there because the Jedi seem to be on this program to kind of search the galaxy for young Force users, and to try to bring them to Coruscant to train them and make sure that none turn to the dark side is what I got from it. So that's kind of what they're trying to make sure that they set them on the right path. Okay, so we see Saul gets seen by the coven, and so um, the coven then has this big meeting. Saul and the other four Jedi. Come into this meeting. The coven tries to hide the kids from them. However, Saul sees one, and so does Carrie Moss. I think sees one as well. So they kind of call them out, and Osha seems to kind of be drawn to them as things are going. But before we get to that, there is, as they are talking about as the coven is talking about the Jedi that are there. There's an interesting discussion between Mama, for lack of I'll just use her name. She's turned
Right.
Mama, and then Mother Coral,
Mhm.
the two. And there is a discussion that goes on that basically kind of indicates that they don't have a father, the twins. Um, Mama tells Coral, "You carried them, but I created them," she says very distinctly. Okay. And that has caused a lot of consternation within the Star Wars community because does it mean that Anakin is not so special anymore? That he's not the first one that it was created by the Force. What does it mean? Does it mean exactly what does it mean for these two? Is it stomping on the canon that we know? Is it something that can be worked within the canon that we have? What's your first thought when you heard that? What did you think?
When I heard it, I was excited. I thought it was awesome because I have no. When it comes to Star Wars, I the idea of canon just goes out the window for me. It's not been ever important to me. So it's not something I get tied up on. I usually kind of like if I know the people making the stuff, I've worked with Filoni and these guys that know everything. I figure they've run it through uh, they've run it through the smarter people. But for me personally, as somebody who was a religion major in college and studied all that, that kind of stuff. It was very exciting because it very much is on a path of how a lot of religions splintered and became, uh, you know, uh, different kind of belief systems or how things came about. Especially when you had the time period when we switched over to people switched over to holding a monotheistic view, uh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
from the mythological many gods kind of viewpoint. You had this. You had, we as most people know the Christian religion, and that Jesus, the Son of God, was born of the Virgin Mary, and all of that, and that's kind of a similar path that they set with Anakin. That we were supposed to believe that he was special and he was the one that was, born of the Force, so to speak. But you know, there were plenty of other religions and stories and belief systems out there that had, you know, their own special deity and that was created or came about in certain ways. Many of them had their own flood story with a Noah and those kinds of things, and a creation story and so forth. So to me, it felt very much like they were trying to expand the universe more so than they were kind of stepping on what came before. You know, it, all of this stuff should be kind of breathing and growing. We don't have the full picture, even though all of this stuff has been made. You know, we're being told the story of a massive, vast universe. We can't, so expecting one tight lane that everybody feels this is the story and this is the belief. You know, I think if you're going to get that legalistic with it, you're definitely going to not enjoy some of these other things that come along. So when they had that conversation, I immediately thought, oh, it's it's on now. And I also thought there's a lot of people that are going to have a big problem with this. But for me, the kind of guy we talked a little earlier, for kind of guy who's always enjoyed Elseworlds kind of stories and going different paths and those different kinds of things, I was excited about it. Mm-hmm. I, there's a lot of things with the series that I still have trouble with, some clunky dialogue and so forth, but that's kind of to be expected from Star Wars. I mean, it's space opera with laser swords. I'm not, so I think sometimes when they try to get a little too deep or heavy with some of this stuff, it might push people off. But
I've called Star Wars science fantasy for a long time. It's not science fiction; it's science fantasy because it is a lot more about spiritualism and philosophies and things like that than it is about, how do your transporters work and how does warp drive work and those type of things.
Yeah,
it's much more about all those other things. So
I mean, Lucas at the beginning said the Jedi Order is set up. They're very monk-like. They're fairly boring, but they're also very legalistic to what their views and beliefs are. And it has, to the idea that all this time there hasn't been any kind of pushback on that, or others that know this, know the Force or know a spirituality or a power, a higher power, but have a different take or interpretation on it. That's kind of hard to not.
So, bottom tier says it seems as though Disney is just tearing out Anakin and Vader at every term. I'm not outraged though; it is what it is. Aggressively relaxing. Sean says you're spitting fire in the High Republic books. You've watched this group splinter and change over hundreds of years. I don't know if you've read any of the High Republic stuff, but it is good stuff. I think. And very intelligent put brother. I would expect nothing less from John.
Well, I mean, it's not even, I think it's more in what I like, it's just being made to, I'm less worried about the historical, what's come before. And I'm less worried, the big sword fight, as much as I love lightsaber battles and all of that stuff. It's, I've seen a lot of stuff. So
it is. And to be fair, I mean, when you go before an established canon, there are people who, rightly so, I think, want to make sure that what you're doing, while it can expand things, it still needs to fit in with what has been established. Mm-hmm. And so, there were certain things. I actually didn't mind the episode at all, but there were certain things that just like when we hear from Anakin, right, in episode 1, the movie episode 1, where Yoda basically says that he's too old to be trained. He's like he's way too old. Well, but then in this series we have Saul, who wants to take Osha away, who is at least twice the age of Anakin, and wants to automatically make her his Padawan. Yeah, without even going to the council or anything. So, but to people's point, when I pointed that out, it's like, is this something that is? Could it be that this was part of the catalyst for not wanting to train people?
Right? Like what happens with her is what makes Yoda be like, no, Anakin's too old. And all of them, we've been this path before, does not go well, that kind of thing.
Right. Space Case Cards, hello. He believes that it's beyond clunky dialogue. So it is.
It is, but it always has been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I didn't, when I was 6 and saw the original Star Wars, I didn't it didn't stand out to me. But I've rewatched it plenty of times with my kids, and it's like, yeah, some of this is,
Mhm.
you know, but
So
that's just
to keep moving through the episode, so
sure.
we have Osha, who kind of wants to go with the Jedi, because they've said that they will take, Osha with them, and then we have May, who absolutely refuses to go and is so upset that the Jedi are even here and that the Jedi might possibly take her twin sister away from her. That she then does something. She basically starts a fire within the compound where the coven is, and the fire. We don't exactly see how the people of the coven die, but somehow they are. I don't know if they're overcome by smoke or whatever it is, but they are lying dead in the compound. Um, and after May has locked Osha in a room and then set the fire outside the room. Um, and so then we see Saul comes in and saves Osha, but we kind of see May fall away, like fall, we think to her death, but obviously we know she's not going to be dead because she comes back later. Um, so the question then becomes did the Jedi somehow contribute to the deaths of everybody in the Coven? And is that what Tobin meant in episode 2, where he said we thought we were doing the right thing? Is it taking
Right,
someone away
splitting
from
that
their?
family,
Yeah, is that the
taking them
thing
away.
that
Right.
so that's still to be determined. So we don't really know that yet. Exactly, what the sin is that Tobin was talking about that caused him to take. It's like the Barish oath or something like that, where he basically just basically doesn't say anything for like a decade. Um, um, so fire in space is the first. Yes.
It is, man. There was a lot of people online been out of shape about that.
Right.
And with the last movie we had or whatever it was, we saw horses running on the side of a spaceship. So I'm not. Again, it's it's space opera with laser swords, guys.
Right.
We don't know how fire works in there. It could be something different from fire that even looks like fire. That kind of thing. Suspending your belief for that kind of thing is, that's always been silly to me. You don't try to put things in you know, an earth science box. It's supposed to be science fantasy, as we talked
Right.
about, so I
Carlito
get it.
says it's a crackling space dumpster fire. And who starts a fire? Space Case says, who starts a fire in a stone building? Aggressively says there's no canon explanation of Anakin. In the Legend Pelagius book, you see the Force create Anakin in response to the Sith trying to manipulate it.
Manipulate it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I'm going to actually bring up another theory as soon as I get through the comments about the two of them. I heard episode 4 viewers. I did hear that there is, because the first 4 episodes was what they showed the reviewers up front, and I did hear that episode 4 is supposed to end at some sort of a cliffhanger that may put more people off, or people may cheer it, kind of thing. If nothing else, it definitely is generating talk about Star Wars again. So. Space whales in space. Yes, Kenneth Bird. Hi to everyone. Space Case Card just wants to remind people that there are rules that apply even if it is a space opera. So,
But there are made up rules. I mean, we're making up rules based on a part of a story we've seen. We don't know everything about the rest of this universe, so we don't know all the rules. So I think that's, like I said, getting legalistic to one thing, you're just hurting yourself. You're just
right,
predetermining, something's going to be bad for you or not work for
right.
you. And that's fine, but
I was just as casual after The Last Jedi. I lost a lot of interest after Fed, although that wasn't awful, just some silly parts. Now I'm done. It's
Fett was
47
pretty
years of
boring. But
canon, bro. So here's my question. In doing some research about before I started this, before we got on this show, so I could talk a little bit more intelligently about this. There is a theory, there is something that is canon, that is called a force dyad. So a force dyad are two people that are connected in the force, and it was kind of first established actually in the prequel, in the sequel movies, because Kylo Ren and Rey were a force dyad. That's why they were able to see each other.
Right.
and things like that. And that's why. So my question is it possible that May and Osha are a forced dyad? Because Osha is obviously seeing visions of May. So, so that's my question. Is I mean, maybe there's no answer to it until we see the rest of the show. But is that a
Yeah.
possible explanation?
I would say yes, possibly. I mean, it would make sense to me. I mean, we've seen that. We saw that to some extent with Luke and Leia before we even got to Kylo and Rey.
Mhm.
There was a connection there, and everybody was like, "Oh, they're twins,"
Right,
but it was also a force connection. You know, and we saw it with uh, Kylo and Rey, but they're not related. But these two girls are. They're
right,
twins. Or, they're
right,
sisters. So there's obviously there could be some kind of force connection there that makes them a dyad as well.
right. And in doing some research, one of the things it was clearly stated that Luke and Leia were not a dyad because even though they were twins and both were the Force, because one of the supposedly one of the abilities when you have a Force dyad is that you also have some sort of limited ability to heal. And if you remember, Ren and and Ray both had that ability to heal
Right.
as well, which Luke and Leia did not. So. Um, so Carlito says if the small things bother us, then it means the rest of the show is so god awful. Everyone is hyper focused on the little mistakes. Just his opinion. So
Right on. That's fair. I mean, that's
Space Kid
absolutely
Card.
fair.
Yep. Uh, uh, if the rest of it was good, most people would forget the tiny missteps, or maybe not even really notice them at all. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, and that's like I said, that's completely fair and understandable. You're clearly more invested than I am. I'm not that deeply invested, so you know it would it it's not gonna hit me the same way.
right.
Um,
It's just so where we left off is we left off with basically everything in flames, and we'll see where we get back to next episode. So it's too bad Mark's not here because I know that he would give a full-throated defense of the entire episode.
oh man,
Um,
he would he would be going at everybody in the chat about how wrong they are about and singing its praises.
exactly. 50% of people can't be wrong. Which, if you don't follow Mark on Instagram, he gave the episode a 3 out of 10. So um, I'm not invested anymore. That's fair. Um,
You are still invested a little
right.
bit, Carlito, because you're in here fussing about it, which is fine. That's what we want. We want people invested. But yeah, if you're not invested in enjoying it, I totally get bailing out on it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's not enjoyable to you, and if it's causing more headache than it does happiness, doesn't matter what it is. I say step away.
Right. Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I'm still interested to see exactly if this is what the we thought we were doing something good becomes. I'm also still heavily invested in seeing who May's master is. Um, I've heard him called Darth Teeth because basically his hood, his mask, just all you can see is teeth.
Is that teeth? Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard him called Darth Teeth or her Darth Teeth. We don't know that it's a him. Um, so let's see what we got here. Slide 75. First of all, hello. Once again, it's as simple as to why it makes me upset. I want to enjoy with kids what I enjoy, but can't because it promotes ideologies I don't endorse. Um,
I'm not sure I'm following you on that in
yeah,
terms of the ideologies, but there's plenty out there for you to enjoy. I have 6 kids. There's plenty out there
yeah,
to enjoy with
right,
them
right,
and find things that if they don't fit, uh, fit for what your ideals are.
right.
There's lots of other stuff that is available. So, but I get it. I get it. If it's something you love, and you feel like it's gone in a wrong direction from what you want to share with your children, I can totally understand the frustration of that.
Smile low red. I like that one. Do like Saul though. Packerman, what's going on? Disney has money for this, but New Warriors didn't make it beyond an unseen pilot. What a bunch of jerks. That's
Now, I can wholeheartedly agree with that.
mhm. Yeah, exactly.
I think there
Exactly.
should be more new Warriors on any media form that we can get. And I'm not joking around on that. think,
Right.
I think there's huge potential there, but
Right.
whatever.
Becker, make sure you stick around because we're going to be talking about your favorite subject in a little while too. So, the names of the characters: Temple Osha. Yeah, it was, um, Osha, and she was this kid that was like clasped to the outside of a uh, of a spaceship. So, definitely was an OSHA violation in more than ways than one. So, really, yeah, exactly. So, in good news for Disney, um, Inside Out 2 came out this weekend. It has made $155 million domestically for the weekend and almost 300 million nationwide. I mean, worldwide. Sorry, worldwide. So that is an otherwise that is a happy page in Disney's otherwise dismal ledger.
Yeah.
Um,
They almost got my money. My son was pushing to wanting to go and see that. And I was like, I don't know, man. We pay for Disney every month. It might be there soon enough.
yeah, yeah,
Which I think is an attitude a lot of people take. If you're paying for a monthly service and then it's going to be there eventually, why go to the theater and spend that money? But I'm glad to see that people did do that and have been going to see this film. I
yeah,
love the first one.
yeah,
Uh,
and it's been
I
getting
thought the first one was
pretty good reviews as well. So, but again, this is kind of like the first time since last year, if not even further beyond that, that Disney has had what they could consider to be a profitable movie come out in a while. But to be fair, no studio has really had that unless it was a Top Gun movie or something like that. So
yeah. Everybody's been getting hit pretty hard, and it's
yeah,
just I think it's just a lot of factors that have just come in that the industry is going to have to look at making some changes as a whole. Um, you can't, you just, the budgets they're putting into these things, you're not going to get that back
mhm.
in the way the market is right now. So
I know you're not joking, John. You're a good egg. So firing space is definitely impossible. Also, I had a sunburn last week. There was a pilot. You're a gem, and they're putting out crap. Pixar is determined to put us all in therapy 2 hours at a time. Um,
that's, I could always use more therapy. So I'm okay with it.
exactly, exactly. Let's see what else. What else came out? I don't think anything else actually. Bad Boys continues to do pretty well. It only fell like 40 some percent week over week, which is phenomenal. If it does less than 50%, they say usually, um, it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that surprised a lot of people.
yeah,
I don't think I don't think there was any. People were saying there would be drop off for Will Smith, because of
mhm,
everything that's gone on. I was like, no, I don't think that's going to have any effect. I think people are going to, even if there's just a curiosity factor to it, people are going to go see it.
Joseph Michaels liked Pixar, liked Inside Out too, and I think I read too that with what current Bad Boys has done, it has propelled the Bad Boys franchise to over $1 billion now.
Oh
So,
wow!
congrats to
Well,
them.
that's yeah. Congrats to Martin Lawrence because I know
Right.
he's been kind of quiet of late, so I know he was happy for this to,
Exactly,
to
exactly.
come around, get a little payday.
Godzilla X cost what one of the episodes of the Acolyte cost. Yikes. Last Godzilla. Yes. Don't forget if you're looking to see Godzilla minus one, it's on. You can watch it not for free because you got to pay for Netflix, but you can watch it on
Netflix.
Netflix. Or if you don't have Netflix, you can buy it through Prime Video or any of those other good places as well. So um, I think you told me what happens after Italian sunrises. Mattina is Italian for morning. Yes, you know what? Let's go ahead and get to that then.
Yes,
So
let's.
okay. So for those of you that actually just kind of popped up in the last couple of days, mostly because DC Comics released their solicitations for October. Um, was it October? September. For September. And in one of the solicitations, there was Um, that's not the one.
That's
It
not it.
is.
That
That's
looks
not it.
fantastic.
Where did I put that? I had it before. You know what? I'm gonna. You keep talking. So there was a.
It was a cover that
Yeah,
was
there was a
done
cover.
by Francesco Mattina. Is that how you say it?
Yes,
I
Francisco
believe.
Mattina.
Yeah, and it's
Yes,
a Superman cover, and there's been some talk and uh, some heat, I guess, because of the clearly, it to me at least, clearly looks like there's some strong AI usage in there,
right,
and some of it not good at all.
right. So if you can see, if there is, you can see the Superman S. As you can see at the bottom of the Superman S, there is an extra little yellow kind of triangle at the bottom. Um, and many people have come out, not only decrying this as being AI, but sloppy AI, for one thing, um, and also the all of the accusations of Matina basically tracing other people's um, uh,
Other people's
covers,
work.
other people's
Yeah.
art, and and using it and passing it off at his own has come as well. Has come back as
Yeah,
well.
this is not new. He was
Right,
AI before there was AI
right,
because he's had multiple times where he's people have broken down covers that he's done and pulled out and said, "Look, this piece was taken from here. This piece was taken from here." He's just, you know, he's appropriating other people's work. So I'm not sure how he keeps getting, other than maybe he's fast or something, but I don't know how he keeps getting work.
right. I was completely blindsided by this news. Yes, Matina has caught drama for cheating his art before. In fact, he is. Marvel cut ties with him many years ago. But DC continues, obviously, to pay him for things. And I actually got a Matina cover this week before I saw what was on. I got this off of Twitter.
Mm.
There is a very long thread on Twitter that you may be able to find, um, that basically shows a lot of the original art and then shows his trace, and how uncanny it is to the original. So
And
um,
you went out and bought something.
I bought it before I saw the thread. So
You're part of the problem.
I am. I totally am. Um, DJY is stopping in for hello from Eric. Hello to you. Yeah, he's done a lot for Spawn and Batman. Batman's first appearance was traced. He has done a lot for Spawn and Batman. Batman's first appearance was traced. It's funny because I think it was a while back, but I remember we were talking through. Yeah, he's doing space those covers too. So I remember, I think it was I was on one of these things and we were talking about Matina, and we were talking about buying original art from Matina, and I made the comment that I don't think, especially Beckerman, I don't think Beckerman believes that there is any such thing as original art by Matina. Uh, um, yeah,
That
he's
sounds about right.
yeah. I mean, I would not be surprised if this. I mean, this is just. There's a couple of things. One, that you don't catch it as an artist, even if you are using AI, that you don't catch it before it goes out. Two, that whoever's in charge of doing the covers doesn't catch it. Three, whoever's
Right.
in charge of doing the solicitations doesn't catch it. You know, there is
Right.
just so
Who's
much
the
wrong about
editor
this.
that looks at this and goes, "This is great," and doesn't, like, is not pulling out a microscope, or I mean, or a magnifying glass and looking over each, because they have to check all those details. So who's going by there and seeing that kind of stuff and going, "Yeah, this will be all right."
Yeah,
Uh, I just don't get it. It's like so many levels of quality control that it has to pass through that just say okay, and I don't. It's like, is it selling that well? I just don't get how it keeps going, getting how he keeps getting work and gets to keep doing this.
yeah, yeah. Beckerman says original art is an oxymoron between original art, kind of like jumbo shrimp. So, yeah, it's interesting. I would guess that if nothing else, they'll probably. I would hope anyway that they would fix the cover before they actually, because they have time to do that before they actually print the book.
Right.
Um, but I also would not be surprised if somehow his cover manages to mysteriously, not be one that you can get at some point, and DC just cancels his cover. And I mean, I'm sure that DC is getting emails from people, and one of the people who came out most forcefully again against him was Adi Granov, who is just a phenomenal artist.
Right.
Um, does a lot of work for Marvel.
And has had some of their stuff appropriated
Right,
in the past.
exactly. Basically saying, how does this guy still get any work? It's incredible. So um, it'll be interesting to see what becomes of this. But speaking of the DC uh, solicitations that um, let's see, who can't blame Matina. He's shown the industry who he is. DC editor signed up on this. Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah. It's not too distant in the future. Won't be able to tell. Um, so the DC solicitations came out for September. They'll come out this Friday for Marvel. But besides Absolute Power continuing in September for DC, they did announce another tie-in to Absolute Power involving John Kent. So it's going to be a one-shot by John Kent, starring John Kent. Um, and it looks like it's. I mean, it promises. I mean, everything promises, but it promises that it's going to be, it's going to result in a huge change for Jonathan Kent. So we'll see what happens. A couple of things that I noticed, besides all the Absolute Power things coming on, is there's doing another like anthology book called "I Know What You Did Last Crisis." Which is kind of like a horror thing. And the thing that I noticed about it is that Dan DiDio is writing one of the
Writing one.
stories in it.
Yeah. I was
Um,
like, how
so
did he sneak back in?
exactly, so he's coming back. It'll be his first, as far as I know, anyway, any of his first work since he was let go as being, co-publisher.
Yeah.
Um, and I bet you, because if you, I don't know if you read the description for some of the stories, but one of the stories has to do with Nightwing dying. I would not be surprised if he is the one that is writing that,
Writing
because
that.
for anyone who has followed DC over the past decade, supposedly Dan DiDio had been wanting to kill Nightwing for
Nightwing
years.
for a while. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. So it's kind of like a horror type anthology thing. So
Hmm.
they're doing all that. So he probably or had that. Maybe he did. He probably already had that written.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to go
Here,
back.
tucked away, ready to go.
Exactly. It's supposed to go back to. There's supposed to be a story that goes back to Zero Hour, and one that goes back to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and one that goes, back to Infinite Crisis, and all those. So there can be all sorts of these horror type stories that are set in these at the time of these different crises. So there's that.
Yeah,
If
and
you're
they used to do that kind of thing. See, that reminds me of like the old annuals. They used to do like, when they did they did Elseworld annuals one year. They did you know, the whatever the Forever Evil or whatever it was, and like they would do the different annuals as some kind of theme, like that kind of thing.
right,
Uh, so I think that's kind of interesting that they're doing that. I guess they're doing these as like one shots type of thing, though, more so, or it's like a connected, separate,
right,
almost like an Elseworld, but a separate kind of,
yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
not, they're not tying into the regular books. It's not
No,
like, uh, you know, uh, I don't know, all these other the vampires and all that stuff.
right, right, yeah. Another book that was announced is there's a Lobo cancellation special um, that is supposed to have one cover that's going to be polybagged by Simon Bisley,
Hmm.
who was a long time uh,
Just some great Lobo
to
stuff.
Lobo's
Some of those
Lobo,
covers were
absolutely.
insane.
Um, and I think that was basically it. There's going to be a tie-in to the DC. Well, Warner Brothers basically has this new game called Multiversus,
Hmm.
which kind of takes all of their properties and throws them all together. And DC is going to be doing at least a one shot. I think it's only a one shot, so um, that is going to be set in that world as well. So um, let's see. I'm
What
only on
is
the Batman DC wise.
when was the I don't know when it was solicited, but the Black Label Plastic Man book.
That
Uh,
also was announced. The
oh,
first
was it?
issue
Yeah,
was cut. Yeah, exactly.
that
Was
looks
announced
pretty
too.
interesting to me. I mean,
Yep.
I've kind of liked how they've played fast and loose with the Black Label stuff, and that's a character that I love. And it, having it be kind of an David Cronenberg kind of inspired kind of thing is an interesting take. I'm looking forward to seeing
Yeah,
that.
because he's almost kind of going away from the hijinks comedy type thing, and he's almost kind of like this is like body dysmorphia or whatever thing that he
Yeah, so
that he's
it's like
playing with.
he's basically disintegrating or falling apart,
Right.
and can he fully disappear, or it's that kind of thing. And they're tying back to, he was originally a criminal,
Right.
he wasn't this wacky, you know
Right.
goofball kind of thing. So and they're tying in his family, his son, and that kind of stuff, so it'll be interesting to see. It sounds like it's going to be fairly emotionally heavy for a Plastic Man.
Yeah. Well, it's Black Label, so that's
Yeah,
definitely the place to do that in. So,
yeah. So I'm
um,
interested to see that. I was excited to see that.
yeah. So like I said, we'll get the Marvel ones coming out this Friday, so we should have some more stuff to talk about next week. But I think that was it. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Of course, all the Elseworlds are continuing as well. But I think that was pretty much it for the major announcements as part of the. I'm looking forward to the October solicitations because the rumor was that the Absolute Comics will start in October.
October. Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm kind of
hopefully,
excited about that.
hopefully we'll hear about that if it's even going to happen. They're all just rumors, but lots of things are pointing that way. So with Scott Snyder running it, basically a showrunner. So let's see some of the news that we got this week. Peacemaker season 2 added some more people to
Casting.
their
Yeah.
cast. Someone from Picard, I don't remember who. Salvador Rodriguez
Hmm.
and the Office alum David Denman. He was the Pam's boyfriend from The
Yeah, he
Office.
was original. Yeah, they worked
Yeah,
down in the warehouse.
right. So he was. Those two have been announced.
Hmm.
Um, James Gunn is supposedly going to be directing 3 episodes, I believe I read. So that's good news. No word on if Elongated Man will be involved in the Plastic Man um, story as of yet. So there were some rumors about some things that are coming out this year from on Max. Supposedly, the Penguin should be out in September. So we're looking forward to that. And then they announced in December, I believe, is they've announced that Creature Commandos will be out in December. I believe they announced.
Yeah.
So
And they
um,
announced that there's going to be plans to do a Blue Beetle animated
a series, a whole series
series. Yeah,
with the voice casts
from the movie.
from the movie.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so looking forward to that as well. So we have, I mean, lots of good stuff still coming to Max. We got the Dune series is coming to Max as well this fall, so we got that. We got some news, some movie news that there have been announced. A trio of people have been announced as co-writing a Booster Gold movie, the Booster Gold
Oh
movie.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
got that as well. One of them being Danny
Danny
McBride.
McBride. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's two of his writing partners from Righteous Gemstones, which is kind of interesting.
right, right. Speaking of movie studios, also besides coming to beside, we also got Tim Meadows is coming to Peacemaker as well. We got that news as well, but um,
I love him.
yeah, exactly. I don't think he's playing the ladies' man,
uh,
but
mm,
ooh, it's a
no
lady.
Cavassier, huh?
Yeah, it's a lady. Um,
Helps.
uh,
I'll never forget that. Helps combat softitude of the wang.
exactly. Ooh, yeah, yeah. That is just disgusting. Um,
Oh,
in more movie studio news, what had looked like a promising Skydance Paramount deal has apparently gone away. It is not happening. Um, supposedly at the direction of Sherry Redstone, who is still the main person who holds most of the stock in Paramount. She owns almost all of National Amusements.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so supposedly that is now gone. So that poses a lot of things, a lot of issues to me. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and Star Trek and Paramount, those two things go together. And if Paramount's in trouble, you
Right.
know,
What's
uh,
going to happen with that?
exactly, exactly. So, um, um, too much information there, aggressive. I think I want to go home, have sex, and wait for something random to happen.
All right.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, it's like they've already cut back on a lot of the Star Trek output that they're doing. Um, I mean, they still have some big properties that they can, they have the Mission Impossible, they had the Top Gun, um, they got Star Trek, so they still have some pretty big franchise-worthy properties that they
Oh
own.
yeah. And they've already got, what is it? The Mission Impossible 8 is supposed to be coming. Is it like 8 or something? I don't know. It's a lot of them.
Yeah,
That's already in the, I mean, they've already announced like that's already set with the budget and the
yeah,
next one,
but as
so
of last week, I don't know. Mark and I talked about this last week. They had a huge problem in that their $20 million submarine prop
oh,
apparently is not
not,
doing well.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I love that franchise, so I'm gonna support it no matter what. And then when they did, they shut down in the middle of the pandemic filming one of them and paid their entire staff and crew for 8 months. So, you know, uh, while they wasn't a single frame shot. So I'm like, you know what? That Tom Cruise, he wins. He's got me. I will support that franchise, whatever's happening.
Yeah, he'll just get his Scientology people to fund the movie.
There you go. Just
Um,
fix my submarine or whatever it
there you
is.
go. There you go. I needed a submarine. I needed we got a trailer for the Watchmen animated movie. Coming out, it's going to be two parts. Part one, probably August or so of this year, and then part two in 2025. It looks computer generated. It is a whole new look for a DC
Yeah,
animated
it's a
movie.
very interesting style, I
Yeah.
thought.
Um, Again, it was only like a 30, 45-second
Clip, yeah.
clip, but there were some. I mean, it almost looked like Zack Snyder had done it because there
Some
were
very
some scenes
familiar
that
visuals,
looked
right? Like
exactly
some shots that looked very, yeah,
the comedian falling out of falling out of the
out of
window
that
and everything.
which, I mean, you know, y- you can take that. I mean, that's panels straight from the original book that
Right.
you can see that Snyder just expanded upon, and it looks like they just went right from his movie and took it and and used the same thing. So it's pretty interesting. I'll be interested to see the rest. It was a very short clip.
There was an announcement of another animated movie called Aztec Batman: The Clash of Empires, which is being produced entirely in Mexico,
Hmm.
supposedly. So it has a Mexico director. It's got all Mexico animators. It's supposed to obviously very heavily lean into, obviously being Aztec and everything. It's supposed to heavily lean into that. So we should be able to look forward to that. It's supposed to have um, less. How they described it was less Arnold Schwarzenegger and more Bruce Lee. So
Mm,
that's the way they're describing Batman. So
interesting.
yeah, so look for that. What else did we get? We got some announcements on Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. We got the actual runtime for the director's cuts. Chapter one is going to run 3 hours and 21 minutes. And chapter two is going to run 2 hours and 50 minutes. So if you want to watch the entire thing, which now you can do in probably just under 4 hours, it's going to be more than 6 hours if you want to
Close, yeah,
watch.
six and some.
Yeah, 6 hours and 11 minutes if you want to watch it all in one sitting, part one and part two. Well, Hellion, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Of
Yeah, that's not
course, a
that's not
lot of
going to
it.
happen for me. But
Yeah.
6 hours, finding 6 hours for finding 3 hours is tough.
Let's see what else we got here. we probably have a lot of people who are probably doing something right now, and that is watching the beginning of season 2 of House of Dragon. That
Oh
comes out this
yeah.
week. That's tonight. So between
I
Heroes
was,
Con and Father's Day and House of Dragon, it was kind of it's going to be slim pickings for us tonight. Either way, so I
yeah,
think so.
right on. I mean, you know me.
Mm.
There's two things I love. It's dragons and real estate. So I'm surprised I'm missing that.
um, uh,
Yeah, that
adventure
kicked off though at 9
at
or
9 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we probably lost some audience having
Yeah.
to go and
Exactly.
check that out.
Which you know what? I don't
Mar-
blame them.
oh, well, yeah, but Mark's going to blame us for it.
Exactly. Yeah, of
You
course.
know, he's going to, we took it too easy on Star Wars and everybody left.
Um, have you been watching My Adventures with Superman?
I rolled through the first season, absolutely loved it. I have not started season 2 yet because it's something that me and my kid watch
Okay.
together, and then summer's been
Okay.
pretty busy for him so far, so we haven't had a chance to get back into those.
Both House of Dragon and My Adventures with Superman have both been announced and renewed for a third season.
Third season,
So
nice.
yeah. So
I
it's
like that show. I think it's fun. It's nice and light. It's not, it's just
yeah, but and it does some. I mean, again, if you're one for canon, it does some things with canon that hadn't that aren't really done, hadn't been done. But I've enjoyed it.
yeah,
I've really kind of enjoyed it. It does some nice things with Lex Luthor in season 2. Um, it did some things with Dr. Ivo. It does something with Metallo in season 2 as well.
yeah,
So there's
right on.
lots of different things that it's doing. So. The Boys came out as well. The new season of The Boys are out on Amazon Prime. So, and
How many episodes of that are out?
I think 3. I
Mm.
think.
I,
Um,
I, I don't. I haven't watched that. I was so disappointed with last season that
right,
I just I'm sure I'll get to it eventually, but
right.
it's
But
just not my thing.
Eric Kripke, I think the guy's name is Eric Kripke, the
Mhm.
guy who's the showrunner.
The
Uh,
showrunner, yeah.
but for the other one that they did, I can't think of
The
the other
Gen
name.
V or
Yeah,
whatever
the
it
Gen
was.
V, right? But
Hmm.
he did Grimm, which I loved.
Oh wow.
He did Supernatural, at least the beginning anyway. But
Yeah.
he announced that season 5 of The Boys will be the last season.
Yeah, and he had said that it's always been that's always been his plan. It was a finite,
Right, right,
story. So,
right.
um, so
So
which
I'm
I
sure.
think is good. I think that's smart. Have a plan and have a, you don't want to be one of these things that gets dragged on forever.
Right,
Otherwise, it looks like you don't know what the end. You know, it's
yeah,
like Walking Dead. You know.
the show became its namesake, right?
Yeah. Is there an end to this? Do
Yeah,
you know what it is? Who
right.
knows? And it's like so.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing that I mean, but I could have seen it going on. I mean, I guess he's kind of known for like doing 5 seasons. That's how many he stuck around for Supernatural. Then he left after the 5th season. But those were 22 episode seasons.
Right.
The
This is like what, 8 or 12?
eight eight at the
Eight.
moment. They've done 8 every season so far.
Yeah.
So he's only going to get to 32. That's right, 30. Um, is that right? 40. Sorry,
Yeah.
5 times
40.
8. Um, the new math didn't kick in yet. So he's gonna get to 40 episodes, whereas he would have done that in 2 seasons on Supernatural. So I could have seen him going further, just based on the number of episodes he's doing. But I guess there were some people too that it's just because he's only doing 8 episodes doesn't necessarily mean that he's not putting as much time into developing it as he did for, when you're doing 20 episodes too, you have a much larger writer's room than you do when you're only doing 8 episodes.
Oh, sure.
So those
Well,
type of things.
also Supernatural and things like that. They're very similar in structure to like a police procedural, you know.
Mhm.
So whereas the boys, there's a set story, a through line that Butcher's after this guy. He has to take him, and
Right.
the good guys are actually bad guys. All of that, there's kind of a through line that's been set up that has to have an ending. It
Right.
has to have a, you know, that kind of thing. So it's good, I think, to put yourself in a situation where you have to hit that goal. Um, but also, yeah, if you're smaller scale like that at 8 episodes, you're having to probably do, if as the writer and the showrunner, you're probably having to do a lot of heavy lifting on your own without a huge staff behind you,
Right.
uh, so forth. So
People tell you, hot take, they're trying to go too hard on Star Wars projects because they don't know how to develop a sandbox of a franchise. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But yeah, I mean, Bob Iger has committed to doing less, but higher quality things in both Marvel and Star Wars. It seems like. I think the only thing that we definitely know for Star Wars that is coming is the Skeleton Crew. I think I can't think of anything else that we have definitively. I mean, been
I mean,
said.
they have a script for whatever the Ray film is, and
Right,
they've got everybody
and it,
hired and
right, and a
so
season
forth.
two of
But
Andor as well. That I
yeah,
think had already started filming, I believe.
yeah.
Um,
But other than that, I think they're kind of dialing it back a little.
yeah. So we'll see. And the same thing with Marvel. They're committed to doing less, but um, I mean, they can't seem to get Blade off the ground, no matter what they
Oh my
try. So,
gosh,
um, uh, they've lost how many directors now? And
it's like four
um,
or five, right? I don't,
exactly,
I don't
yeah,
know how, I don't know how you drop the ball on that. Not that it's a simple concept because you can get, but to have that actor lined up as such a perfect fit and for that character, and so many people that could just take that and run with it. I don't understand why they keep having these issues where people are dropping, like they can't get along or they can't. I just don't understand it. Why that particular franchise or that particular character is having so much
yeah.
trouble.
Making it to the house, just finished the hellos with the kids. Definitely the best part of traveling. Absolutely, coming home to the family.
Nice.
Thank you again, Paul and John.
Thank you,
P.S.
brother.
I'll never give up on Star Wars. Hopefully one day I can dial myself back a little. Thank you all for helping ground my emotional rants. They'll mostly likely continue though. Okay, just as an FYI, we prepared everyone, Mark, that you're going to give a full-throated response to how well you liked the Acolyte. So, um,
No,
I get pretending.
I knew that my take would be. I was interested that he even asked me to sit in because I knew my take would be so pretty opposite from his. But I figured really the reason he asked me to be on is because the Tony Awards are on tonight, and he probably wanted me to give updates
There you go.
throughout the show on what's going on with the Tony Awards because he knows that's my jam.
There you go. And now Harry Potter's up for a Tony, I
Yeah, he
think.
is. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, he's
So
in a revival of shoot, trying to remember what the name of the show is. It's an old musical that they've
yeah,
done a revival of, and
I get pretending
apparently
he
he's
made.
fantastic.
Yeah, I get pretending he made that decision and not to strike. I think about doing
Yeah,
quality over quantity. I think that's yeah, exactly.
it does feel like his hand was probably forced a little bit.
W
Uh,
Vog, hello, gents. Love seeing the pictures of you, W Vog, with all the people at Heroes
yeah, and
Con.
Heroes
So
Con, you made the rounds for being there just one
exactly.
day. That's awesome.
Too late for you, Mark. You already joined the dark side for too long. I prefer folks who have opposite takes than myself. That's why I love you so much, Johnny. You've always been my stand-in.
Thank you, brother. And you love the Tony Awards just like me.
Right. Exactly. So, let's see. What were we talking about? Oh, so Marvel. We were talking about Marvel and the fact that they seem to be still having some troubles getting some things off the ground. Apparently, the new Captain America movie was previewed and it didn't do well. So they were going back and doing more reshoots. So um, I'm going next.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
I think I think it all comes down to you know money.
Yeah.
People will say they like to complain about these things or things are getting too woke or whatever. But I don't think Iger or Disney cares about any of that.
Yeah.
I think if they make something and it's not making money, they're going to drop back and punt and try to figure out we're going to do less and better quality.
Mhm.
That's come on. You
Supposedly,
didn't
and
think you
again,
were just putting out a bunch of crap before and you
I
were okay with it? That doesn't. I'm
I'm
not
not
finding
the
it.
I'm not the most versed at Marvel, but apparently they cut out a whole part, or they're cutting out a whole part um, that if you ever follow WWE, you know Seth Rollins, he took some time off to actually film some scenes for the
Right.
Captain America. Apparently they've cut his entire part out. Um, he was part of some sort of Cobra something or something, or some group that has some sort of snake name. Again, I'm not the
Yeah, the
best.
Serpent Squad or
The
whatever.
Serpent Squad. Yes, that was it.
Yeah,
The Serpent Squad.
I hadn't heard that. I love Seth Rollins.
So apparently his part has been cut out as part of their retooling the show, the movie. But um, we'll see what happens. You know, until it actually shows
Hmm.
up on the big screen,
Right,
they're
right.
all just kind of rumors. So, but yeah, I did hear that
Interesting.
as well. So let's see what else we had there. And Sony has actually bought a movie theater.
Yeah,
And this is big news because the movie studios were forced to divest themselves of movie theaters like 75 years ago, and
yeah,
now um, the reason being why they did that is because when movie studios owned movie theaters, they would obviously give preference to their movies.
their movies. Sure.
Um, and so it was kind of they were forming their own type of mini um, uh, monopolies with the
Right,
movie
right,
theaters, which is why you can actually, if you go to some old towns, you can still see Paramount theaters. You know,
yeah,
some theaters are still called Paramount, and that's why because they used to be owned by Paramount.
right.
Um, but if this is allowed to happen, I mean, I can't imagine that. I mean, now it seems like um, movie studios, if I can make money off of showing a Warner Brothers movie because I think it's going to get me a lot of money, I'm probably going to still have a Warner Brothers movie.
Right, right. That's
you know,
because they bought, like, what is it, the Alamo Draft
the
House? So
Alamo.
it's like
Yep.
a dining
Right.
movie place, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I mean, I know why it was changed up before, but I don't see why the studios would go along with that. I mean, big of people complain about the cost of tickets for movies. Well, the part of why they're so high is because so much of that money has to be split by so many different people. The studio is probably thinking we should just have our own theaters, show our
Mhm.
stuff, and then the money goes to us.
Right.
But I don't know. That
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see if that doesn't happen more. You
Yeah.
know,
And to your point, I mean, I can't imagine that they would ever lower prices, but if I don't have to split, if all of that money is now coming to me, could I cut a dollar or two off of the prices and still make more than I was making before?
before,
Uh,
right?
you
Yeah,
know, so
yeah.
um,
And
and
that might be a problem because I guess there's standards across the board that the theaters have to adhere to in terms of what they can charge. And although, I mean, it's all plenty,
yeah,
a small popcorn for however freaking $20 or $15,
yeah,
so it's
exactly.
like, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, and I mean it's one small theater, the Alamo. Um, I
Yeah,
don't see Disney buying AMC anytime soon.
no,
Uh, but who knows? It was just kind of interesting because it's something that hey, Phil's Treehouse, that hadn't been seen in 75 years. I see some IG advertisement narrated by William Shatner. It's for some crowdsourced movie studio. I wonder if more of that can cut costs to a point where us consumers feel it at the theaters. Very possibly. Very possibly. Tell you one of the
that
things
would be.
that I'm looking forward to that was I saw got a little bit of news this week was there is a a documentary movie that was done on Christopher Reeve that's
Oh, yeah.
coming out in September
And
to movie theaters.
yeah.
So I'm really
Yeah,
looking
they're going
forward
to
to
do a
that.
theatrical run of that, right?
Yeah,
Because they are going to release it to Max
right.
eventually.
Yep.
But they're going to do a theatrical run, which I think is great that they're going to go ahead and put that out there that way. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm excited about it, but they're probably not going to make money
Right.
off of a documentary in a theater, with competing with everything else. But they know that deserves or should be on a large screen. So they're going ahead and doing that, which I think is great.
Yeah, and I think the strike that happened too has caused a glut of product that they have until the end of the year.
Sure.
So having another movie that they could release, even if it's not going to make a ton of money, may help fill a weekend window that they had open that they wanted to put a movie out, but
Right.
hasn't been completed yet because of the strike or something. So
Yeah.
there's that as
That's a
well.
good point. That's a good point.
So
And it probably didn't, since it's a documentary and they're using a lot of archival footage and stuff like that. It probably didn't cost them a ton to make. The filmmakers. So
right,
hopefully that'll get the attention it needs and deserves.
yeah, and Warner's purchased the rights to distribute it, so it's like
Yeah.
they're paying themselves to use those clips. So all right. Let's get a couple books in here. I didn't really have a huge week this week. I did have Green Lantern and Suicide Squad, but there is no DC Comics deep dive tomorrow because of Heroes Con.
Sure.
Excuse me. So
Yeah.
we will, Mark and I will be talking about those two comics, and that will be next Monday. So we won't go
Right
into
on.
those. Um,
I did pick up when we were talking earlier. I did pick up that Green Lantern. I haven't read it yet. It's
okay.
in my pile here, but I did pick that up as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So this is a Matina cover. That was one of the. This is Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age.
Yeah.
The Elseworlds is back. This is the first issue of Elseworlds. It basically is a continuation set in the same universe
As the original.
as the original by
Yeah.
Brian Augustyn and Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
This one is not by them. It is by Andy Diggle, Jackson Lansing. No, sorry, Andy Diggle, and who else is it? And Leandro Fernandez
Yeah.
did this. So there is actually very little Batman in here in this first issue. It is actually much more about Selena Kyle. We start off in 1860 in Kansas. There is a something that comes from the sky and lands in close to a farm. Two people are in a wagon coach. Their names happen to be Martha and Jonathan Kent. They find something, but then that's where it stops. And then we basically jump forward to Gotham City to almost the turn of the century, 1893. And we see Selena Kyle, who is basically trying to work her way into a fundraiser or a ball, something like that. And because she's trying to steal something called, what is the name of it? It is the what is the name of it? I keep forgetting what the name of it is. Anyway, it is a green ring that basically seems as though we may be involving the Green Lanterns at some point. So I'm really now really want to figure out what that is. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They've done a lot of that before. They've done the Batman with the with the Green Lantern ring. They've done the Superman if he had been raised by the Waynes and that kind of thing. So in these Elseworlds, so it'll be interesting to see what direction they do with pulling these pieces together.
I'm not going to get it. So, oh, the Ring of John Lee. There it is. The Ring of John Lee. And so she steals it for someone. We don't know exactly who, but she steals it for someone. She arranges to trade it for some diamonds, of course, because she's Selena Kyle. So she trades it for some diamonds. The person who takes the ring then realizes it is a fake ring, and this whole thing has been set up by Batman to try to capture them. There's a battle that ensues, and at the end we see Talia al Ghul is basically at the end, and she has basically stopped Batman from doing what he wanted to do, and so that's where we are. So it seems as though we're going to have Catwoman, we're going to have the Al Ghuls, We're going to have Green Lantern in here somehow as well, and Superman as well, because it is called the Kryptonian Age after all.
Right, right.
So I'm betting that at some point we're going to have um, Superman come in here as well. So it is 6 issues, I believe. Let me
Oh, I
just
thought
verify.
it was 12.
No, Gotham by Gaslight is 6 issues.
Okay, good.
Dark Knights of Steel is 6. DC versus Vampires is 12. World War V is 12. The new DC versus Vampires Elseworlds.
Hmm.
So,
But
um,
yeah. Hmm.
and then the only other one that I got besides the two that we'll be talking about on DC Comics Deep Dive was you got this too, right, Geiger?
Yeah, yeah. I got Geiger. I've read that actually, and
Hmm.
I'm really liking that book a lot. And I thought this particular issue 3 was I really enjoyed it. The just giving us a more backstory and a little deeper look into the Knight and Geiger himself. Um, I really just kind of like it's very much a Don Quixote kind of vibe to it that but Johns is weaving a story uh, that's a little different than that, but and kind of giving us these slow drips of these characters' backstory or what's made them who they are and how they are,
Right,
which I'm really digging.
right. It is a couple things. It's a PSA for libraries. Um, but I was very happy, and I knew this was coming because I read the solicitations, and he's mentioned it. But we get to see our friend Junkyard Joe is back
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
Um, it seems as though we also get a brief image of Junkyard Joe and Simon Pure. We see Redcoat
Yeah.
very briefly
Redcoat there. Yeah. I
in there as
I,
well.
I kind of geeked out seeing that. Like, it just love seeing all of those pieces coming together.
Right.
Um, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought there was a nice little bit of kind of meta commentary that none of this other stuff has survived what's happened, but the books are still there. The
Right.
libraries are fine. The books are, you can find your books. know,
Exactly. Everything has been picked over except for the
right.
libraries,
They
apparently.
weren't traveling everywhere looking for a blockbuster or you know, trying to get their Wi-Fi working. They had to go back
Right.
to the books, and that was really, I was like, yeah, John's making a little
Right.
statement there.
Right. We see our first appearance of people called the Organ People.
So yeah,
Um, so the organ people are people who have basically been deformed by radiation, and what they do is they find people who have not been deformed by radiation, and they take out their organs and put them in themselves
mm-hmm.
to try to correct
Or and
themselves.
then they eat the rest.
Exactly, and they eat the rest. But there is some in regards to the library, the reason why the library is important is because there is a book that Geiger, Tariq goes and finds,
Yeah.
and it kind of reminds him of an earlier time. And then we go and we see an earlier time when Tariq and Barney, who is the two-headed dog, were in a library as well. That's where
Mm-hmm.
he first met Barney. It seems as though was in a library. And that will be important as well because at the end of this issue, Barney is captured. So Tariq and the Atomic Knight have to go and try to rescue him. But the
Yeah.
Atomic Knight, after some things that go on with the fight with the organ people, the books that Tariq had taken with him are destroyed. So the Atomic Knight, at overnight while Tariq is sleeping, goes to another library, finds some of the same books, and when he does, he finds another book called The Velveteen Rabbit
Yeah.
that reminds himself of when he was young
Of
as
his
well.
family. Yeah, in his younger
Exactly.
times. Yep.
And so he then realizes, why Tariq was so intent on trying to find a library and finding these books. So it
Yeah.
really kind of a couple of heartwarming moments in there.
Yeah. And then, he gets those books and they get destroyed again
Right.
when they fight when they are fighting the organ folks.
Right.
There's that one little panel where he looks down and it's like, daggone it, the book's in flames again.
Right.
And it's like, dang. And then uh, I was like, I was I was like reading those last couple pages when he was sneaking out, where the knight was sneaking out.
Right.
Uh, because he was so kind of upset or felt so much guilt. And I was like, daggone it, he's going to sneak out. I said, but that's not going to, I was like, if anything happens to that daggone dog. And sure enough,
Right. And he is
dude came in and got the dog. And I was
right.
like, oh, I
Right. And
was
so
like,
Barney is captured by the person that has been trying to capture Tariq.
dag, yeah, Tariq.
He's been following him. So so that's important as well. And that's where we end the issue. Is we find that person that captured Barney basically seems like tasering Barney
Yeah.
inside a
So,
cage, and
use
that
the dog. That's
right,
not,
right. So that's where it is. So so it's a PSA for libraries. It's a PSA for the SPCA. It's
it's got a little of everything.
exactly, but it was really good. It was a really fun read, and I'm really enjoying all of
Yeah. Not to sound too much like Mark,
the Ghost Machine book.
but
Right,
all of the Ghost Machine books have just been firing. I mean, it's just early on, obviously. They're all like
right,
3 issues in or so, but they haven't been missing. I'm in. I'm in. They've pulled
exactly.
me in. And the way they're so kind of intertwining things, but subtly, it's just got me nothing but excited about the other books that are coming. I'm like, all right, let's get it. Let's get it moving.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
ready. I want some Hyde Street. I want some,
Yeah, yeah,
I want all of that stuff. Let's get it going.
yeah.
Uh,
I want to see Ivan Rice on more than just covers.
yeah.
You know.
So I'm excited about it. I don't know. I still just the fact that it's $3.99 and it's
Hmm.
this level of quality
Hmm.
that you're getting on these books. I'm like, I'm sold.
Yeah,
Other, people should be reading this, and then other publishers should be concerned.
yeah. Exactly,
They should be
exactly.
up in their game.
Mhm.
Uh,
No Geiger, no Ghost Machine this week, I think, but the
yeah,
week after, there's actually both too. There's Red Coat
Red
and
Coat.
Rook
Yeah, Red Coat and Rook.
are both coming out on the same week. Um, so it's going to be, and that's not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after or the Wednesday after, depending on what your comic shop does. We have both of the last two chapters of House of Brainiac are coming out.
Hmm.
Absolute Power Ground Zero is coming out. The two, like we just said, Ray Code and Rook are coming out. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be a big week, the last week of
I'm
June.
a yeah, I'm a little worried about my budget for this Absolute Power event because
Mhm.
everything looks good and I want to be want to be in on it. Uh, but it's like, oof, that's going to be an investment. I'm going to have to figure out a way to spread that around. Uh,
Just wait,
and
and you're gonna win when we give it away on DC Comics Deep Dive. So don't worry about it.
let's hope so. And then we also we only have a couple more issues of the Nightwing Tom Taylor run, right? Him and
Yeah, four
they're
more
gonna
issues.
four more. Yeah.
Yeah, yep,
So that's
uh,
wrapping up.
yep, yeah. And again, hopefully it's because Tom Taylor is moving to an Absolute Comics title. That would be wonderful
Yeah.
because he's still going to do Titans. He's just not going to do Nightwing anymore. So.
Yeah.
And he's doing a couple of backup stories in the Dark Knights of Steel Elseworld. He's not writing the main story. He's writing a couple of the backup stories. Even though that was his baby when he
Yeah,
originally
that
wrote
was
it.
his
So
original, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So, but I don't have any other books. Blood Hunt #3 came out. Have you been reading that at all, or
I've not.
no?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
I haven't.
Um, My understanding is that Miles Morales, who was turned at the end of the last episode, is turned back in this episode in this issue, not episode issue. Um, but there's still a long way to go. And I mean, you talked about Absolute Power having lots of issues. It's I
Yeah.
still say it's nothing compared to Blood Hunt. If you ever look at the checklists in the back of the Blood Hunt issues.
I haven't I haven't picked up a Marvel book in a very long time, other than Night Thrasher. And I only was getting that because of my love for the New Warriors and back in the day. But there's just so much, and I just I was like, I just don't know where to jump in, and there was nothing jumping out at me. So there hasn't been a whole lot of Marvel that I've kept up with, unfortunately.
Yeah. I've
Um,
enjoyed the first five issues so far of Ultimate Spider-Man. It's pretty good. Um, and trying to decide whether I'll go past the first story arc or not. And then they also got the Ultimates #1 as well.
wow,
That was kind of good.
you
I
like
got the
that?
first couple issues of Ultimate Black Panther, but Peach Momoko does nothing for me, so I didn't get Ultimate X-Men at all. So she just does nothing
Yeah,
for me.
I'm probably one of the few people that is really looking forward to the X-Men reboot, that the restart that they're doing. I know there's a lot of people kind of disappointed about how things are ending with the Age of Krakoa or whatever
Right.
and all that. I don't know enough about that for it to be a problem for me. I'm looking forward to kind of a new, fresh start, blank slate kind of thing.
But
But I
that's
can
the same thing
understand
with
that's
only.
a
I mean,
huge investment, so I can understand why people would be bummed about
yeah,
it
I
kind
mean
of
it's
being
three titles just to get the main story for X-Men, right? Not even including all the other ones, right? It's it's X-Men, it's Uncanny X-Men, and it's Sensational X-Men
some
or something like that.
sensational or something, I
Something like that.
believe.
Yeah, it's another
Yeah,
adjective.
yeah,
Um, and that's just the main X-Men stories. It's not even including, all the New Mutants and X-Force and all those other ones that they're doing as well.
right.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like by the time they've released
But then
the first
they
issue,
already have a boatload of titles already. I mean,
yeah, it's
they've
like
done that, always done that. But they're going to
yeah,
have like yeah, because they'll have like a Storm title. I think they're
yeah,
doing some individual titles and stuff. And they announced the X Force lineup, which
yeah.
to
It's like
me doesn't look as much like X Force as I'd like it to be. But that might just be some of my past
mhm.
nostalgic playing in. We'll see. Uh,
Yeah,
so, but I'll
it's like 10 titles, I think, right, or
yeah,
something.
yeah. So I'll check it out, and I'll probably pick up the main three titles and then see
Mhm.
from there,
Yeah,
you know. So it'll be
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Um, we are right at 10 o'clock, like a
Yeah.
couple minutes before. So, um,
Almost time for me to go to bed.
yeah, we managed to get exactly to at least to Mark's point. So,
Yeah.
if we can run a good 90 minutes, we're doing well. So, um, anything going on your channel? I know you haven't done anything
Flew
in a
by.
while, but
It really hasn't. I'm
um,
trying to, I'm trying to get my schedule together to be able to do a little more. I'd like to sit down and figure out something to do with my brother. The
mhm.
two of us do something. Um, just because I like spending time with that dude, even if it's just online.
Yeah, exactly,
I'm a
exactly.
big
Yeah,
fan. So hopefully we can get some things going, but no big plans as of yet. My
that would
plans
be
are to keep watching you and everything you're doing.
thanks. This is, I guess, that key week. So
I know. I'm excited.
besides Mark, we will have Izzyverse NYC, and we will have Dale of Suspense
Yeah,
as
I've
well.
already
So
clicked my notifications on.
so again, that'll be on my channel, Sector 2815, Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern. Don't miss it. And then just as a reminder, as I told everybody, no DC Comic deep dives this week because of Heroes Con. So we will catch up with everything, which is fine because there's a week of no real um, House of Brainiac or Absolute Power stuff coming out really. So we'll catch up with that as well, and then we'll be right on track again. So,
So
and
the time is perfect.
we're storming towards our 100th episode as well too. So that
Man,
should be coming up as well. So
that's awesome. You guys, I've really enjoyed those things just for a matter of, for somebody who can't buy everything and can't get everything.
mm,
It's nice the way you guys do the breakdown of the story where you can at least keep up, and know of any connections it has to anything else out there. It's been a huge help for me, and
right.
also the two of you together are just enjoyable
Oh,
and fun.
thank you. We have a great time doing it. So, but that's going to be it for this at week's end. Mark will be back next week, having watched episode 4 of The Acolyte, I am sure,
Hmm.
as well as whatever else is going on. You can find it right here every single week, every Sunday night at 8:30. Um, the best and the only place you need to go to keep up on what's going on in pop culture. So thank you to Brother John. We appreciate you being here
Thank you.
and sitting in. And that's going to be it. But I am Paul, but we are Legion.